Doug, which is great, for another episode of Engineering Culture. We did this last week talking more culture and kind of season and things. This time I want to talk a little more leadership and obviously your season, because you guys had a pretty successful season. Let's start. What is your leadership style?
I mean, I think I'd like to think it starts with consistency. I try not to be all over the map with my approach to our guys in terms of my mood. Try to be as consistent as I can, even in victory or defeat. I think there's lessons to be learned in both cases. And, I think if I want guys to be even keel with their approach on the floor, I think they have to see it from me off the floor. So I think the consistency of them knowing what they're going to get from me every day is really, really important when you're in a leadership position. I just don't think when people are following you, they need to be guessing what your mood's going to be that particular day.
This season you had some leaders, some pretty good leaders, I would say. Baylor being one of them. Kalk had brought in Ashworth, and he assimilated pretty well. How important is it for you to kind of delegate to your team and those leaders and your assistants and staff? Because I think you do a pretty good job of kind of delegating.
Yeah, I mean, the best situation is a team-led team. A team led by team leaders versus the coaching staff. We were very fortunate this year to have Trey and Baylor and Kalk, guys that have been through it, they've done it. They understand what our expectations are here at Creighton. And then, as to your point, you bring in Stephen, who really was a seamless fit and, led it his own way with his positive energy every single day. And, did it in a way where I don't think he stepped on the toes of those guys that had been here and been in the program. So you hope that once you build something sustainable, it's sustainable because the young people in your program learn how to lead from the guys that came before them. And, hopefully this next group of leaders this season, learned a lot of lessons from what Trey, Baylor, and Kalk did on a consistent basis last year.
What challenges is this transfer portal era have to a culture?
It's more difficult to have a Ryan Kalkbrenner situation where someone comes in as a freshman, right. Doesn't play that much as a freshman and then blossoms, and all of a sudden you're in year 4, in this case year 5 because of COVID. Are those situations going to happen as much? Probably not. Nobody understands our culture and our expectations better than Ryan Kalkbrenner. He's been here, he's seen it. He understands what works, and he's able to share that with his teammates. Now, if it's a constant revolving door, it's hard to have that sound, consistent leadership year in and year out. And it's why we've continued to try to bring in a strong freshman class every single year. We brought in 3 or 4 last year, and some of them are still here, and some of them have made the decision to move on, and we've got a class that we're really excited about again this season. So we hope to just continue to use the transfer portal to plug holes, or to bring in some experience while some of our more inexperienced guys cut their teeth and get ready for what's ahead. But I don't think it's impacted us yet. We'll see what happens in the future as you move forward.
Yeah, you brought up the recruiting class, and you could kind of talk about them publicly, but Jackson McHenry is going to have a lot of expectations because he's the highest rated guy you've ever had. Larry Johnson, I love Larry Johnson's his athletic talent. Yeah. This class, though, but you also have older guys. How do you keep them, hey, like, time's coming, you'll be, like, what's that message for younger players when in this era of everybody wants to get old?
Yeah, I think that's where Ryan Kalkbrenner can help you. Stephen Ashworth can help you. Stephen didn't play a significant role early in his career, neither did Ryan. I think they help these younger guys through the tough days, because there's going to be some tough days. The learning curve is really steep. the speed of the game, the expectation of, being ready every single possession and be able to execute while their mind is going 100 miles an hour because they're learning so many things is challenging and it's difficult. Having said that, we want to try to get these guys on the floor, and it's we're at 12 scholarships now, and we've kind of tapped the brakes and decided, at least for the time being, to stay there because it allows us the flexibility to get some of these guys on the floor and get their career started in a positive way, because hopefully that's the next generation of the leaders in our program.
You had a couple of hiccups, obviously, last season, UNLV, Colorado State type things. What did you learn from this team in those losses?
Yeah, and I don't know that there are hiccups when you lose to,
Colorado
State was an NCAA tournament team, and UNLV, once they got there.
At the time, it was like...
Once they got their roster complete and the kid became eligible, it totally changed the dynamics of their team and their season. But, we try not to dwell too much on any particular win, and we certainly don't want to dwell too much on any particular loss. I try to treat it the same. As long as guys are competing, they're communicating, doing the things that we can control. As long as that's happening, now you can dig into the X's and O's part of it and some positional mistakes and decisions that we made that could have been different. But, if guys are competing and they're communicating and they're playing hard, and we're getting good shots. That's something we talk about all the time in our program is our shot quality. You're still going to lose some. That's just the reality of the game. And, we didn't overreact to those losses. That's the media, the fans' job to do that. Just like we don't pat ourselves on the back very long when we have a big win.
You kind of brought it up there, but self-evaluation is a big key in leadership. How do you self-evaluate in the moment? Or do you take kind of some time and self-reflection?
I think I've gotten better as I've gotten older at waiting. I've said many times the last couple of years to my team after the game, I'm not going to really dig into it until I watch the film, because I think as a young coach I probably overreacted to the emotion of a loss, and then maybe was unfairly harsh on our guys at the moment after the game when they're in a tough spot anyway. I think as I've gotten older, I've learned to just let's sit back, let's evaluate it. We can discuss it tomorrow. It can wait until the film session tomorrow, good or bad. And obviously you want to celebrate the victories because they're hard to do at our level, so we would make sure we have some fun when we win. But I've learned to sit back and really evaluate everything before we take it to the team. And, I think as a younger coach, I wasn't as good at that.
How do you let players know that they're being heard and seen at the same time when it comes to a leadership role?
Yeah, some of it happens organically. I think over time, as guys are in the program and, they wake up one day and all of a sudden you've got all these eyes looking at you.
Right.
Like Mason Miller, for instance, this year, it's going to be his 4th year in our program. He hasn't been a guy that's been in a leadership role, but there's going to be people looking at us here like, okay, Mason, how do we do this? How does this work? So, I don't think you can force that on them. But I also think it's important that they understand that everything that they do, everything that they say is being evaluated by the young guys in our program. And just like it was when Mason got here as a freshman, and he's looking up to older guys that he played with when he was a freshman and sophomore to figure out, how do I navigate this thing called college basketball in this particular program? So, I think you have to empower them. I think they have to understand that they have a voice, that if there's a situation in practice that I needed to correct and Baylor Sharman jumps in there and is correcting a younger player, then I just need to step back and let Baylor do his thing. I think those guys feel part of it. They feel like we're trying to lead this team together instead of apart.
It's kind of an influence in leadership, like that they're influencing the younger group. My question was going to be, how important is influence in leadership? But you basically just answered it.
Well, it's the example they set every day.
Right.
Just like you asked earlier about my view on leadership and what I want the team to see. I think it's very important, like this past season with Ryan and Trey and Baylor, in particular Stephen, that the rest of the guys saw something very consistent every single day. Like, you know what you're going to get out of Trey Alexander practice today. You don't have to guess. You know that Ryan Kalkbrenner is going to have an incredible voice defensively, and he's going to quarterback our defense.
Wait, he talks? No.
Yeah, on the court. Yeah, and you know a guy like Steven and Baylor are going to have a great voice, and they're going to have positive energy, and they're going to compete. And that's so important for the young people in the program, just to not have to wonder, the guys that they're looking up to, what are they going to bring it today? Are they not going to bring it? Are they going to be on time? They're not going to be on time. Like, we didn't have to worry about that with that group, and that they set an incredible example as a result.
Jason Green is a guy that really kind of came on today. At the end of the season, he really kind of took another level. One, maybe he was kind of fully healthy and trusted kind of after missing some time early. What's the future like for a guy like Jason?
I'm really excited about Jason's future, and I give him a lot of credit for how he handled this past season. That wasn't easy.
No.
He got hurt at absolutely the wrong time for a young player to miss the last 3 weeks of practice, the first 3 weeks of games. And frankly, at the time, he just played it really well. But it was a heck of a setback, and it took him a while once he got back to kind of get into shape and now get his confidence back. But I saw it coming. I saw it coming, starting kind of in late January, early February, that he was putting together some really good days back to back to back. And I told him, your time's coming. You just got to stay ready if your number's called. And Jason has been great. If I have to be on the scout team, whatever you need to help us win.
It's pretty mature.
Very mature for someone so young. And to have it culminate like it did in the NCAA tournament with him, playing huge minutes against Oregon to get us to another Sweet 16, making big plays, is a real credit to Jason. So, his skill set continues to grow and continues to improve. He's living in the gym this off season, and I think our fans are going to see a very much improved version of him next year.
You've had pretty sustained success right now, like at Creighton. It's in a pretty good spot. Sweet 16s, those sort of things. What's the greatest threat to sustained success?
Yeah, I mean, it's sustained success. It all starts with recruiting and bringing in the right kinds of people. We have an incredible fan base. Our support's off the charts. Our booster base is supported and embraced the NIL world. We're going to have to continue to compete in that area in order to compete on the floor. It's just a reality of the world we live in now. So, as long as we can bring in the right kinds of people, which I think we have again this season, you're always going to have a chance. Now, are you going to get the breaks? Last year, knock on wood, as we go into this, is we didn't have one starter miss any part of a game with an illness or an injury. Like, that doesn't happen very often. And you're looking at the NBA right now, and guys are out here and there across different rosters, and we didn't have to deal with that. So it takes some luck. But the program's in a good place right now. I love the leadership within our team that we had a year ago, and I like what we have moving into this season.
What's the threat though? Like, is there like a you see from an outside?
Well, I mean, you just you have the fact that any player can leave at any time,
right?
And the fact that this is becoming a financial arms race in the NIL world, and do you blame someone if they can find another spot that offers them a couple $100,000 more as a 19, 20, 21-year-old? You can't, and that threat is always there. Can we continue to be top 25 in what we're doing with NIL, with the direction that this college athletics seems to be going? What's going to happen with revenue sharing? How does that impact Creighton? Without football, where do we stand? Are we in a position where we can compete with the SEC and the Big Ten and everybody else? I mean, those are questions that I don't think anybody has the answer to right now. I try not to spend a lot of time worrying about it because you try to live in the present and do as good a job as you can today. And then as challenges present themselves, obviously you want to have the foresight to see it coming, but you deal with it when the time comes.
Crisis management is a big kind of word, but there's big crisis, there's little daily crises, right? In leadership, how do you know which ones are big and which ones are not so big?
I mean, that's tricky because every individual is different.
Right.
And what may be a small crisis to one person may impact somebody else in a totally different way, depending on their background and where they're at in life and their emotional stability. You have to factor all that in as a leader, so you really can't treat everyone the same. But you deal with things in college athletics. It's you got 5 guys on the court at a time, and you got 15 guys in your locker room that would like to be out there all the time, and how you manage that, and just making sure that people know that they're appreciated for what they're doing. And sometimes I think I fall short in that area, just because you get so focused and locked in on preparing for the next game that do you forget to tell that red shirt who shows up every day of the scout team how valuable and important he is. But you deal with things as they come, and you deal with them on an individual basis, as I said, because everybody's a little different.
You're a big relationship person. You trust certain people to do certain things. How important is relationships in success?
It's everything. I think I live in a relationship-based world. Anytime you're part of a team, we use the word family a lot around here, and not loosely. I mean, it's important. Families, it's about trust. It's about helping each other. When you're down, celebrating your successes, celebrating your teammates' successes. But I put a lot of confidence and responsibility on my staff.
Right.
Obviously, I've gotten to know those guys, and I feel like they work with me, not for me. They have a lot of say in what goes on in practice every day. Their voices are important in practice, and I listen to our guys. And that part of the relationship, it has to be a two-way street. I have to, while they're trying to work and develop trust through my eyes on what they can do on the floor, I have to make sure I'm doing things that is allowing them to develop a trust level in me. And because things aren't always perfect, and I think at the end of the day, guys want to be told the truth. They want to be held accountable, even maybe they don't act like it all the time. But I think at the end of the day, if they're held accountable and they fix it, I think there's some celebration that goes on in their mind when you check that box and you maybe take yourself to a place that you didn't think you were capable of going. And that's all based on relationships, and that it's pretty loose around here. We have a lot of fun. We joke and laugh a lot. We make fun out of each other. I think that's part of it. I think in this day and age, especially with young coaches, I think they feel so much pressure that they coach the joy right out of the game. Mm-hmm. I don't ever want to do that to our guys. They've started playing this game because they love the game. And we have a lot of pressure. There's 18,000 fans that show up that expect us to win. I just try not to bring that pressure into our practice facility. We can prepare, we can do our work, but we can have some fun while we do it.
So you're saying, back to part of your answer there, that good players still out coached hard? Wait, what does that mean?
I think at the end of the day, people want that.
Right.
I think they want to.
High achievers want.
They want to grow. They want to get better. And there were times that Baylor obviously had a great career here, and there were times that where he and I, we went at each other a little bit. We forgot about it quickly. Right. We got over it quickly. I said my bad, he said my bad, and then we moved on. But he's so competitive that in the moment, he didn't really want to be challenged, but once he thought about it, he loved to be challenged. I mean, that's what he was about. Like, tell me there's something that I can't do and watch. And that's why the dude's going to play in the NBA. He's got incredible belief in himself, and that belief comes from an incredible work ethic and a lot of reps. Much like Trey. I mean, those guys were in the gym all the time. They're working on their craft. They're working on their trade. And you think about the shot that Trey made to beat Villanova at Villanova. We've seen him practice that stuff 1,000 times. The shot that Baylor hit against Oregon, the little fadeaway in the paint to send it to overtime. Like, that wasn't a fluke. That you come to expect it because I've seen it done over and over and over in a practice situation where they've really prepared themselves for that.
Kalk has these people that say he's not this, but like he's still pretty good defensive player. How do you kind of manage that? I know he doesn't pay attention to any of that, but how do you kind of what's your message to people that say, oh, he's not going to be an NBA guy because he can't do this, that, this, those?
Well, they're crazy, number one. And, the negative sometimes of playing in college as long as Ryan has played,
he picked apart.
You tend to view him through a different lens, and you forget about all the things that he can do, and you concentrate on the things that maybe he's not quite there yet. Now, to his credit, 2 years ago, a lot of the things that they said he can't do, he's doing now.
Cool.
He's bigger, strong, he's shooting. He's if not the best defensive center in the country, certainly he's in the conversation. Ryan Kalkbrenner will play in the NBA, and he'll play in the NBA a long time, and whoever is fortunate enough to get him on their team will be very happy with the end result, because he works at it and he loves it, and he's improved every single year, and I think you'll see another jump this season. So it's unfortunate that's kind of the world we live in. You're excited about something, and then as time goes on, you forget why you're excited about it to start with. And hopefully now that it's his last year, people can get back to appreciating and celebrating all the great things he does.
Okay, let's have a little fun before we end here. So, a little more light. No, a little more lighthearted question. No.
Off the top of your head.
Oh, wow. Okay.
You said we were having fun.
All right. Why Jimmy Buffett as your favorite band?
I've listened to Jimmy all the way back to my childhood, and I went to.
That's not very relatable, by the way.
I went to. Listen, I'm almost 60, man. I listen to music that puts me at ease, that I enjoy. I've enjoyed him forever. And my brothers listen to him, and a bunch of my buddies in high school. So it's I've been fortunate I've been to 4 or 5 concerts probably before he passed, and he's one of the best.
What best concert you've ever been to?
Probably Garth Brooks.
Oh, wow.
That was really good. Yeah, I am really old.
Where at?
Here in Omaha.
Oh, really?
Yeah. Nice CHI several years ago. Yeah, it was really good.
You probably didn't have to buy a ticket.
I worked some angles.
Okay. Favorite golf course you've ever played?
It's a toss-up. Cypress Point and Augusta. I've been blessed to play both of them. Pine Valley's not far behind. I've just been lucky that I've met so many wonderful people in this community that have taken me to play some of the best golf courses in the world.
Best public golf course in Omaha that you played, which
there's some good ones, but Indian Creek's probably the best. I spent some time with Johnny Good, as we discussed earlier, and I enjoy that as well.
Yeah. Lake house, regular house, or condo? Favorite place to eat?
The golf cart. I like the lake. I don't like to fish. I like to catch. So if I'm not catching, I'd rather be on a golf cart somewhere.
Okay.
But golf is relaxing to me. The lake is relaxing in a different way, but it seems like anytime I'm out there, there's some projects that go with being there. So maybe it's not quite as relaxing.
You can afford to hire people to do the projects. I just have to do it.
You do? So I need to call you to do the project.
You think I'm Andy? Look at me. No, okay. Favorite food?
I'm a steak guy.
Okay. How is it cooked?
Medium.
It's okay. Well, it's not either side of the house. Medium rare guy.
Are you? I can't quite go there, but I'm.
So a little bit? Maybe it's soft. Try it sometime. It's actually pretty good. Favorite restaurant in Omaha?
I can't answer that. That's a political question, and that gets me in trouble.
Oh, yeah.
There's so many good
NIL dollars.
There's a lot of good restaurants in the
steak
world.
Place.
I can't answer
No, I'm
that
saying
either.
that's your answer. Anywhere with a good steak.
Yeah. And there are a lot of places with a good steak.
Okay, how cool was it to watch your son play in the Eastern Conference Final?
It was really neat, and a great experience for him, especially, I talk all the time, back to Jason Green about staying ready. If your number's called, will you be ready to go? And, Doug's gone through that in the playoffs. Gets traded to Indiana, gets hurt, misses 3 weeks, comes back. They've set a lot of different rotation. He'd play a lot in the playoffs, and, Halliburton goes down, and all of a sudden your number's called. And, are you ready? And to Doug's credit, he stayed ready. He stayed present. He was great on the bench with his teammates. And then when his number's called, he went in and did his thing. So a terrific experience for him to be able to play at that level. I think it's got him more hungry than he's ever been to really, after taking a little time off to heal up a little bit, to really attack the off season and give this a shot again and try to get back with the team in a situation where you can achieve at that level.
Right, man. Appreciate it.
Always good.
Yeah, thanks.
A Hurrdat Sports Network production.